Today's conversation is centered around data and how that can boost development and security, especially in Nigeria. It is said that the lack of internal harmony amongst the various ethnic groups and religious groups that constitute the nation has remained the major constraint to achieving a national database and national identity, which in turn has fueled inconsistency in regimes' ideological orientations and, therefore, poor governance. The leadership of Nigeria thought to change that and established the National Identity Database in 2007 to integrate all identity documents into the National Identification Number. That journey towards the national database has raised concerns. But in truth, this doesn't only happen in developing countries. Concerns over the use of biometric databases have stirred debates even in the developed countries. However, misrepresentation of biodata, aided largely by the absence of a national identification system, continues to persist in the country. And to address this melee, the former President Goodluck Jonathan launched the new Nigeria National ID Card in 2014, which followed an existing national identity database exercise, which began in 2007. We mentioned that earlier. Now, in the rise of insecurity and the attendant challenges in Nigeria, citizens are required or have been asked and required to integrate their biometrics-backed national identification number with their phone numbers, the bank accounts, and any government-issued identification document like travel documents or the driver's license as part of the efforts to track and bring perpetrators of criminality to book. The question then is this yielding the desired results? Our guest believes that these results that are desired would soon be more evident than they are at the moment. Newsnight hosted the Director General of the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, Engineer Abisoye Koka-Odusote. Engineer Abisoye Koka-Odusote, it's a pleasure having you here on Newsnight. Thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome. It is a pleasure to be here.
Indeed. So it's been 9 months since you came into this commission, considered one of the most significant in terms of planning and management of the entire nation, of any country. Data is very important. But tell us, what's it been like for you since you came into office?
It has been a very interesting journey. It has come with its own challenges, but nevertheless, we have thrived up until now. And there's been so much work and efforts that we have put into this commission. You know,
if you had not mentioned the word challenge, I would have been shocked. So you would have been like the first person to get a new job and say, no challenges, we've just been going ahead.
So let me tell you a fun fact.
Okay.
I thrive where there are challenges.
Oh my goodness.
So I hit the ground running.
So welcome to Nigeria.
Exactly.
It's a land of challenges. Okay, so you came on board at a time when many were concerned about the national identity number. Some were concerned that it wasn't, not many people were being registered or being enrolled. And where some had been enrolled, they were not sure. Some hadn't seen their, what they call that, their identity card, and some were not bothered about it. But you said you've come into this place, a lot of work has been going on. So tell us, let's start from that point of the name, which is supposed to be very vital to management and security in the country. How's that been so far? How many people have been enrolled and what's the situation?
So we have enrolled, as of today, a little bit over 107 million as of this morning. I think that's fantastic because it means that we've enrolled a little bit over 50% of the entire population of Nigeria, because Nigeria has been said that we have roughly about 200 million people. So it shows that we're on the right path and we're on the right direction to achieving this. Just to sort of speak further a little on what you have just said, we are definitely striving and working very hard to make sure that we're able to increase the enrollment. And we came up with a 5-point agenda to really see how we can address these issues that you have mentioned. We've had listened to Nigerians' cries. A lot of people have said they have not received their ID cards. A lot of people have said that they were not able to modify their NIN information or data with ease. So we've had to look at all of those challenges and said, okay, how best do we obviously address these issues, and how do we ensure that we make it a seamless process for the average Nigerian citizen, and ensure that also at the same time there is inclusion, which means this cuts across the women, the children, the disabled, even those that are prisoners in the prison centers. We need to make sure that they definitely have a unique identifier generated for them, and they're on the system, they are given a digital identity. That's very, very key to us. What we're trying to do here at NIMC is to ensure that we increase the enrollment drive, and to also ensure that we integrate and harmonize all the databases within the ministries, departments, and agencies, which have been operating in silos for so many years. And we want to ensure that there's a central database that would be able to definitely have all the information of citizens stored on it. And it then will save you a lot of time and half the processing time for everything you want to do. So if, for example, you're going to go to apply for a passport, the information gotten from the NIN is what would be used to issue that passport for you, which is already being in the works with the Nigerian Immigration Service.
I was going to say, how's that working out? Because many Nigerians will tell you, come on, leave me with NIMC, because I have to go, I want a driver's license, I have to go and do a capture. I want an international passport, I have to go and do a capture. I want to open a bank account, I have to do a capture. Why would I have my data everywhere? Are you saying that's
which I agree. So we had to look at it and say, okay, we don't want all these databases in silos, operating in silos. How do we sort of unify all of these databases and let there be a single source of data collection, which will be that the NIN, being the foundational identity, will then be used to obviously be the source of the truth for the identity of that individual. So for instance, your information would be used at the driver's license office, your information will be used at the hospital, your information will be used to access any education care that has been put in place, or any education loans or intervention programs, any social intervention programs. That is what we want to happen. That's what we want to see happen with this.
So when that happens, there won't be any need for capturing again. So the immigration will just type in my name and I do whatever payments need to be done, and I don't have to go and do the capture again. Is that what's going to be? So
there are two layers to this, and I will tell you what it is. Regarding your biodata, at the moment, that's already ongoing. So you put in your NIN on their portal, and your NIN information is being called up, your biodata then auto-populates the fields. If there's any second layer of information required by immigration, you will then have to complete that form with those information. But populating it with your initial information, your top 10 most important information, literally would have your processing time already. So which means you will not spend too long to input all the information that you have. And then another thing that we're doing now is biometric verification. So once we're going to get to the point where all the biometric information will be done by NIMC, so that they're also able to call up that information and then populate the forms with that electronically. So that would then save you going there to go and do any form of capturing, except if it's in an instance where a child is 5 years old and then it's 10, kids change up to the age of 16 with their parents, and then you can then obviously get them to go at those various times. But what we're trying to do is to ensure that we make life seamless for the average Nigerian.
This NIN service, or this identity service you're providing for Nigerians, is, again, I keep using the word vital, but the level of delivery in terms of service delivery to the people, many a Nigerian will complain about that. When you go to the NIN centers across the country, first of all, they are not properly treated. They are not equipped as they should be. Indeed, I heard a complaint last week that a young man went to do a capture and he had to provide data. So service delivery, is that one of the things that you're looking at or you've started working on?
It's all part of what we're working on at the moment. It's very important to us that our service delivery is actually very, very top notch. And we're working on that. I mean, our staff right now, we're identifying the gaps in terms of knowledge, and we're ensuring that we have increased our capacity building to be able to train the staff for them to be able to understand how to interface, especially the front desk officers, the enrollment officers, how to interface with the citizens who come in to want to apply for a name, and also to be friendly with them. I think it's a culture thing that we're trying to imbibe in all of our staff nationwide to make sure that that is done. We also are working on enhancing our service delivery by ensuring that in the back end, we're upgrading all of our important systems. So our automated biometric identification system, the ABIS, is being upgraded at the moment. It's going to take a period of 6 to 9 months for that to be done. And we're also ensuring that our middleware is enhanced also to be able to match the new service that the ABIS is going to be churning out. So we want to make sure that when you go in to apply, that processing time is cut down. The processing time for the information to get to the back end is reduced greatly. And you're able to then get your NIN instantly, as opposed to having to wait for a period of 10 working days or 7 working days or 2, 3, 4, 5 months regarding whatever issues that you have. Also, we've also given the power to the people to be able to do their modifications online. So rather than for you to come into the NIMC centers, any of the enrollment centers, all you need to do is go online. With a single click, you're able to edit your information and you're able to submit that instantly, and that change will take effect. Okay. So one of the reasons we did that was to just try and do an analysis and say, okay, what exactly are the issues? How do we address these issues? How do we resolve all of these problems? And how do we ensure that things are done in a timely and effective manner? And so we came up with that online modification because we also looked at the instance of the NIS platform. If you're going to apply and your name doesn't match with what the NIMC database has on record, the Immigration Service is going to ask you to come back to NIMC to come and ensure that you include the missing name that's there or modify the existing name that is there. So we wanted it to sort of be a complementary service so that you're able to go online rather than coming back to our office and just do the necessary modification, which will then be treated at the back end and it goes straight to the server, and that change is effected immediately. So we're trying to ensure that we have whatever downtime it takes for processing. And I think it's very important for us to be able to say that when you come and apply for your name, you should be able to do that with so much ease. It should be done seamlessly. You shouldn't have any issues whatsoever just to get your name. And you don't have to come back to my office for you to do your modification. We are also working on a pre-enrollment portal, which will further help us improve our services. And what we plan on doing with that is that you should be able to log online, input all your bio data, and then pre-book your appointment at a center. And once you have been able to do that, then you come in at the appointed date to come and do your biometrics capturing only. So that means you come in and you're spending roughly about 3 to 5 minutes to do your biometric capturing, and you're able to go about your daily business. We don't want a situation where you come to NIMC's office and you're sitting there for 4, 5, 6 hours. So working over time to make sure that we address all the critical issues and make sure that these matters are taken care of. So
NIMC is about 16 years or thereabout.
Yes.
Old. And you're one of the youngest director generals, Nigeria has had in this field. And you come into this space.
And the first director general for NIMC.
And the first director.
Female
director general for NIMC. And you come into this space where there's so much of demand. You're talking about integrating data across ministries, departments, and agencies.
Yes.
Have you heard about interagency conflicts, especially how they share information and how they hoard information? Do you think it's going to be something, a walkover?
So communication is key. And so one of the first steps that we did was to have meetings. We looked at we had to prioritize the MDs to say, in line with the president's vision for the country, what are the key areas in line with his 8-point agenda to say, okay, what are the key areas and his key areas of focus we need to, obviously liaise with those MDAs that are associated with driving those agendas, and how do we sort of get them to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we've had conversations with them, and we've also set up a working group. So at the moment, we've got 20 working groups across the MDAs to ensure that we're able to obviously get this done. We've done we defined the scope of work, and we're all in agreement on the same page. We've all signed our MOUs, and we've already started towards working to ensure that this single goal is achieved. So the good news is I haven't had any difficulties across the MDAs.
That's a miracle.
It's a miracle. And I think that it seems like everybody's almost on the same page. People understand the importance of the president's vision to be able to ensure that we're able to have a data-driven, sustainable economy. And I think once you get that and you key into that vision, then a lot of things will be a lot simpler.
Then you will need to answer a question, because this linkage of the SIMs and names is a conversation that started like 4 years back. And so some will say, what happened to all the monies that were, in quote, budgeted for this? The Ministry of Communications at that time talked about how these things need to be put together, and it's going to ensure security, is going to ensure reduce kidnapping, reduce cyber crime. But are you telling us now that all of this was not done then, and it's now that it's starting out?
So what I would tell you is, from a NIMC perspective, that is just starting out now. Okay? That brings me back to the question that you raised, where MDAs at some point in time were not really speaking to each other. So
we're not speaking the same language.
Speaking the same language, and that was probably the case at the time. But right now, as I am here, I have made and taken the necessary steps to ensure that this gets done. And I think it's something that affects everybody. And we have to make sure that it's done the right way. The NIN is not supposed to be used to victimize anybody. You're supposed to have a digital identity, which will definitely simplify everything for you in terms of your having access to all the services that you can get from government. So if you need healthcare, access to healthcare, it's right there. All you need to do is use your NIN. If you need to apply for student loans, use your NIN. If there's some credit facility that you want to apply for, your NIN will definitely be the unique identifier that would be used for that purpose. So we need to look at the brighter side. For any government to be able to make an informed decision, you must have data. So right now, as we are already in that space, or in that world where the society is data driven, and we must ensure that we continue to do that. And
so is it the fact that I can access government interventions? Is that why I need to pay for my NIN?
Your NIN is free. So I just need to clarify that.
How about the reports out there that people were being charged for NIN and then charged for the card?
Okay, so I would clarify a lot of things. The NIN is free, and it has always been free. Okay? If you're going to modify your information, it's not free. You pay a fee to modify your information. Now, and the fee is not it's not a lot of money at all. It's very minimal. Now, for the card, we already spoke about this card earlier during a media parley with your colleagues, but I'm just going to shed a lot of light on it. This card is optional. Okay? It is a choice for you to get the card. The card is not free. There's no society in which the card is free. The only time you hear of a card being free is when you have beneficiaries that cannot afford the card, and the government puts an intervention fund in place for them to be able to get this card. And that is something that would obviously be applicable to this government too.
To some.
But yes, so we've given you the options. If you want your card, if you want a physical card with financial inclusion, that's got the different applets, that sort of just, you literally have a one-stop shop for everything, you can apply for that card. If you know maybe you live abroad and you feel that you don't need a card, you can download the EID. So there are different options for you to be able to do that. And if you're a beneficiary, there's a prepaid card for you. The card has one single look and feel, and all the cards basically look the same. So it's whichever option that you want, you print the same card out. Okay. It's just that if you just want an identity card alone with no financial inclusion services on it, then you can print.
But it has a security codes and all of that.
Absolutely. So you have a machine readable code for in the event of travel, for travel identification and all of that.
And how long will the card last before it expires?
So for the financial inclusion cards, it will be a 10-year renewal period.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about the ones that don't have the financial inclusion?
Sorry?
The ones without the financial inclusion.
Well, I mean, if you just print your identity card, it's going to be your identity card.
For life.
For life, basically, except, NIMC decides that they want another look and feel, and then we then issue another card.
Or if you lose it, you come back.
We have the partnerships with the banks on this card, and what we're trying to do is, how quickly it is for you to get your ATM cards. You should be able to get your NIMC cards in that manner. Okay. And I think that Nigerians are deserving of getting their cards finally. So we are working on that. These cards should be available before September for you to be able to now start to make the application for your cards.
Can I get mine today?
No, you can't because we are in the process. So,
again, do you think you have it easy? You talked about challenges earlier. So what are those challenges you've had to meet? I brought one and you said that's not happening.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. I mean, funding is a huge part of it, okay? So I would say that one of the things that that I found a bit appalling was getting here and saying that the working tools, a lot of the staff have been using them since 2011, which I found very shocking, given the type of commission that we are, and especially when we're on the front end of technology. And then you're saying that the systems being used by the staff to carry out their duties is old and archaic. So those are the things that we need to do. So we need to be able to replace all of these things. A lot of the offices at the moment are not conducive enough for people to be able to obviously carry out their daily duties. So we need to obviously address those in terms of running costs for the office on a daily basis. For a lot of the offices nationwide, there are all those operating costs related or associated challenges. And then they turn to the Nigerians to provide data for them. Absolutely. But so far, so good. We have been able to weather the storm, and we're forging ahead, and we're addressing all of these areas. So in terms of funding and in terms of looking at how we're going to ensure that we're able to obviously give the office a new facelift, and also, give us a positive image out there and ensure that people have working tools and they have a conducive environment to be able to carry out their daily duties. We are also looking into that. So for me, staff welfare is very, very key. And I always tell people that for you to be able to get the best out of somebody, you need to make sure that they are empowered with all the working tools that they need for you to be able to see them perform optimally on the job. So those are one of the things that we're looking into. So in this business of data, the concerns of many is that how safe is their data? And they compare it to what they think they see around them. They see challenges everywhere, so they feel that their data is not safe. I know a couple of people who will not, for their life, do a digital transfer to anybody. I know a couple of people who have shut down and tried as much as possible to clean up their digital footprint because they are concerned about data breaches. And you're talking about gathering all the data in silos into one spot. Is there a guarantee of safety? So I'm going to tell you one thing. People generally, normally when there's a new system that has been introduced, are not comfortable with it yet because people don't like leaving their comfort zone. But you can see that technology is rapidly advancing. And NIMC is the owner of basically the protector of the data that has been collected on behalf of Nigerians. So it's the Nigerian data. And what we are ensuring at this end is to make sure that we don't have any data breach. We haven't experienced any data breach so far, and we don't have any data breach, even though there are a lot of misleading articles out there about that. So I'm going to clarify that. We don't have any data breach. We have one of the best systems in the world. In fact, India has used this system to register 1.4 billion people. So we have and they're using the ABIS by IDEMIA. So we are definitely, getting there. We don't have 1.4 billion people, but we're doing a good job in terms of trying to register 200 million people. Now, with that said, we have illegal perpetrators, and they are disguised as some illegal cyber cafes and some illegal business centers. Now, what they do is to try and just go and develop a software to mimic what we do. But that data doesn't come into our own database. So what they're basically doing is scamming Nigerians. So people that are not aware, people that are not, they're not educated, they obviously ensure that they scam these innocent citizens. So they obviously lure them and tell them, oh, we're representative of the NIN. They might even put up a poster in their fake cyber cafe. They charge you some exorbitant amount, they extort them, and then they now register them. So we are definitely making arrests at the moment, and we are serious about clamping down on all of these illegal activities. We're doing that in jointly with the security forces.
Okay.
So we do have internally, we have our Inspectorate and Enforcement Unit, and we also have the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit in conjunction with the ICPC, and we're all working with all of them to make sure that we're able to clamp down on these issues.
You used the word Nigerians who are not aware or not educated. So how would Nigerians differentiate an authentic NIMC center or NIN center from the other one?
Thank you for asking that question. We are now desirous about ensuring that we create a lot of media awareness and going to ensure that we educate Nigerians from the grassroots level upwards to make sure that we are in every community to preach to them, to the choir, to say, look, listen, we are definitely NIN. These are all the centers that we have, and this is what we're going to do to make things easier for you. These are our recognized front-end partners, which will be updating the list on our website. And we have presence in almost all the local governments except 8. So what we're working on is trying to ensure that we have presence in those other 8 local governments, and that's due to insecurity in those local governments. And we're also planning on decentralizing the system down to the ward level, so that we're bringing the services for you to get in to your doorstep, basically. And that's what we're working on at the moment, so that we're able to address these issues. We're creating a lot of media awareness, and we're working with the security agencies to ensure that we clamp down on all of these illegal activities. So a sound warning to all of the illegal perpetrators disguising as either internet cafes or business owners, business centers. Please note that we will be coming to you very soon, and we're going to shut you down, and we're going to arrest you, and you're going to face the wrath of the law.
You see, maybe I should begin to feel a little bit jealous, because at that time you were looking at the camera, you were not looking at me. That makes
I needed to just send a message to them and be clear on that.
Okay.
Because we definitely need to do a lot of clamping down.
Talking about clamping down, you mentioned earlier the insecurity in the country. We know that in the last decade or thereabout, some parts of the country have experienced insurgency. Yes. So not just about that. Then in some other parts, we've had natural disasters, floods, where people have had to be displaced. So we have internally displaced persons across the country. Is there a plan for them as regards?
So I will speak to the first part, the insecurity part. We're working with the security agencies, so we cannot speak too much in detail about that because they would carry out their own due diligence on everything related to identity that we've brought forward to them. And we're definitely supporting them. And also in the instances where they need to verify the identity of a person and be able to, for them to be able to carry their investigations, they inform us and we definitely work with them. Okay, so for biometric verification, that is being done by the security agencies at the moment, and they have like the highest level of access for that.
That's for the internally displaced persons.
This is for addressing insecurities or insurgencies related matters. But regarding internally displaced persons, we obviously would ensure that they get a name. So we're working with civil organizations that deal with internally displaced persons to ensure that we get them registered. So we onboard them as our front-end partners, and then they go out there to do the registration. And we're also ensuring that we're now going to get the front-end partners to now go to the rural areas, to be able to go to the nooks and crannies of the country, to be able to register people, so that we take the registration straight to you, bring it to your doorstep. Because a lot of people cannot afford to go from one local government, from their homes to a local government because of the distance. So we're going to make sure that we bridge that gap and take it to the communities.
Okay. You mentioned front-end partners as the FEPs. That's what
FEPs, yes.
That points to the private sector, public-private sector. How's that working out, the public-private collaborations? Is that something that the NIMC is thriving on? Is it something that we should be hoping would expand?
It will definitely expand. I mean, the front-end partners is a welcome idea. If you're trying to register 200 million people, you know, an extra under 100 million right now, you have to ensure that, you know, obviously you have everybody on board. You need the public sector, you need the private sector collaboration for that to happen. And we have done this through the front-end partners. And also the front-end partners is an opportunity to be able to create jobs for Nigerians, you know, and that's what we're actually even doing, giving them the opportunity to be able to go and register and enroll citizens. And they're doing that at the moment. We had to revalidate them because we had to also look at some of the issues. Nigerians had complained that some extortions were ongoing at some of the front-end partners' offices. So we wanted to obviously address the issues because their only role is to enroll Nigerians. And we told you that enrollment is already free. The NIN is free. So why are you then trying to extort people? So we had to go back to the drawing board and then decided to do a validation exercise, which included a license assurance framework, which was developed in conjunction with the ID4D project under the World Bank to be able to say, let's make these regulations as tight as possible to ensure that they are onboarded through the right processes and to ensure that we train them on what we need them to do, obviously on the values of NIMC, so that they're a true reflection of who NIMC is, and so we don't have any negative images out there. And for any one of the FEPs that has got infractions, we definitely have penalized some of them. However, there are some outstanding debts that were met regarding the FEPs. I'm not going to speak to the numbers at the moment, but a few have been paid, and then the others that have these infractions, they've been having a series of review meetings with the Business Development and Commercial Services Department to be able to then obviously arrive and say, okay, this is the true figure that you have been owed. And once that has been sorted out, they will then get their payments.
I asked you a question about the public-private partnership. You said it's something in the works. I wanted to ask you how effective this will be in terms of like meeting the needs and in paying the bills. Who's going to pay them, for instance? You mentioned inadequate funding for the NIMC.
Absolutely.
Is it the citizens that will pay the FEPs?
We have an ID4D project, and that project which is by the World Bank, is supposed to pay for the FEPs, because the objective of that ID4D project is to ensure that NIMC is able to register 148 million Nigerians. So that will take care of the payments for the FEPs.
Oh, okay, so NIMC is also, based on that project, 148
million Nigerians.
So far, I have 107.
Yes.
So we're almost there. So what happens to the remaining number of Nigerians that are not registered?
Well, let's get there first. I'm sure that we'll be able to resolve. So that's why the front-end partners were even set up in the first place, to obviously create jobs and also to be able to enroll, increase our drive to be able to enroll all Nigerians. We don't want to just enroll just a few Nigerians. We want there to be inclusivity across board. So if somebody is disabled, we'll work with the disabled disability commissions to be able to get these people registered. And also, we had already had like an exception handling instance for us to be able to capture people with disabilities information on the database.
Cybersecurity,
Yes.
is really, really important.
Yes.
We've had issues of the Yahoo boys and girls who are scamming people back and forth. Can this commission help in curbing that?
You can. Once you're able to identify a person, you're able to do anything.
So the numbers cannot be cloned, because I'll tell you this, even the social security numbers in the US, some have been cloned. People's identities have been stolen. So are you saying that this commission is so tight behind that identities cannot be stolen?
So as we speak, not at the moment with NIMC, but we're working hand in hand with the Data Protection Commission to ensure that such does not happen. People's data is safe. Only when you have a data breach can the possibility of data theft happen.
How would there be a data breach if you're already saying that we're covered on all sides?
If I said it would only if there's a data breach that would happen. Okay? So you cannot steal somebody's identity except there's a data breach, correct? But we have made sure that we have taken and put measures in place that you're not able to do that at all. You're not able to steal someone's data.
But Nigerians are not even aware.
Policies.
Do they even know how to protect their own data? How would Nigerians ensure that?
What we're trying to do at the moment is to be able to even allow you, give you the power to be able to do your own authentication yourself, and also give you that power to be able to share what part of your data you want to share with any of the other services. So what we're doing is for you to be able to have an application where you're able to then say, okay, you want to share this data with this private sector person, company, or with this public sector organization. And you're able to then obviously have a button that will slide that will allow you to approve what information or control what information you want to share with them.
Yeah.
So if, for example, somebody only needs your name and address, rather than send them all your information, it's that information that you will just
consent to them.
Yeah, you send to them.
So
we're getting to that point. But for that to be able to, obviously happen successfully, we need to obviously continue with our integration and harmonization of all our databases. And with the existing 107 million that we have attained so far, we want to be able to start to encourage people to be able to self-authenticate.
There was something you were quoted as saying, I heard you say this, you said it's a continuous business improvement process.
Yes, it is.
This commission would have to, as long as Nigeria exists,
yes,
continually upgrade, so to speak.
Absolutely.
What's the guarantee that the staff, the personnel here, are ready to continuously upgrade? What capacity is there for upgrade?
So I will tell you, I'll give you an example. Since I've been here, I've approved quite a number of trainings for the staff. We've invested in a lot of capacity building for them. We had to, first of all, identify the knowledge gap to see, okay, what is it that you don't understand? Because we realized that there was quite a bit of knowledge gap in certain areas, and we wanted to obviously address those issues. So we're definitely investing in capacity building, and we're going to invest more in that. Outside of that, we also have NIMC's conditions of service and also the public service rules by the federal government, which will ensure that the staff adhere to by all means. And I always say that any staff caught or related to any form of extortion will definitely face the disciplinary committee according to the public service rules and also the NIMC conditions of service, and we'll be able to address that, and it might even lead to dismissal if they're caught doing anything funny.
But you see, so far we've just been talking, and you've reeled out all the things, all the plans, all the goals, and all the challenges that they're dealing with. See me as a Nigerian who's not convinced that you're even doing anything, because, again, what's there about NIMC that make me even want to go there? What's there about NIMC to make me want to believe that what you're doing is necessary? As far as we're concerned, it's one of those ministries, departments, and agencies of government, duplication of functions. We have the Data Protection Bureau, not the Data Agency of Government, right? That's supposed to protect data. So we have NIMC owning data. At the end of the day, we have agencies of government that are doing about the same thing, or crisscrossing into each other.
I would say that not in my area, but in some other areas, there might be a slight overlap in functions. But with NIMC and data protection, the roles are clearly distinct. They deal with compliance, policy making, to ensure that, things like data breach or breaches are addressed and mitigated. And what they do is they make sure that all the MDAs comply with the necessary compliance rules or framework or policies that have been outlined by the Data Protection Commission. So they obviously make sure that that happens. And with NIMC, what we do basically is warehouse the data of Nigerian citizens. And all we do is issue a digital identity. And that digital identity is not just a number, it's a number that will serve similar to you having a social security number, where you're able to unlock all the opportunities and all the services that government has to offer and all the social intervention programs that they have to offer. So it goes a long way. The government is working over time to ensure that health services are improved. Anything relating to education is improved. So many other things they're dealing with in terms of agriculture, food security, all of these areas, housing. So, for example, if you want to apply for a loan, you put in your NIN.
Okay.
It brings out your information. That would also be able to help us track and say, okay, this person has applied for a loan. This is their NIN. We're able to identify this individual.
Would that also tie into the credit bureau?
Yes, but they are going to use the NIN information. They have to make sure you have your NIN, because that's the only unique identifier number that the federal government has. You had mentioned something earlier. The BVN is a private number. It's not a federal government-owned number. And the NIN, as it stands, has the largest database at the moment. So it's very, very important to just, clearly distinguish between the two. And whatever numbers, user IDs that have been created across board, across all the MDs, will be tied to this unique identifier.
You talked about the card earlier and the different, what do you call it? Applets that are going to be embedded in that card.
Yes, and we also mentioned things, yes.
Yeah, okay. You also talked about the immigration service. That was one of the first things we talked about. When you want to get a passport, all you have to do is just give your name and the first set of data. The biodata is being worked on.
Yes, which we worked on in conjunction with the Ministry of Interior and the Nigerian Immigration Service.
Okay. Now, I want to ask this question. The voter's card. Nigerians have voter's card, driver's license. Now, you talked about ATM cards that might be done away with if the person opts for that. But at the end of the day, that one card, would it cover for the driver's license? Would it cover for the voter's card? And all the multiple cards that we have? Tax identification card are all part of that.
That is why NIMC has been established to do this. And what we're trying to do is to ensure that we fulfill our mandate.
Okay. So you've not answered the question.
I have answered the question. NIMC's mandate is to ensure that we harmonize the whole process.
So if I have that card, would I still need to have my driver's license? Or would that card cover for that?
So you will still need to have your driver's license, okay? But what happens is driver's license is going to use the NIN information to produce your driver's license.
Okay.
So these are the things that we're speaking to.
Okay. And I will have to go do capture again by the time the
Absolutely.
biodata is
so
come from.
At some point in time, if you want to shop online, you put in your NIN, and then you're able to, all your information comes up, the information that you want to share with them will be populated. So we're trying to look at all of these instances to just make sure that rather than for you to just go and your information is being collected at different multiple instances, you should have one place where your data is collected, and that is basically being verified or authenticated across board.
Okay. Again, I want to thank you so much for speaking with us. But before we let you go, we'd like you to just say one word to Nigerians in terms of this identity thing. My mother is 85 years old. She may not know what the name's about. Her friends also may not know what the name's about. I have a 9-year-old son who may not know what the name's about, but he has already. What would you be telling these people in terms of, okay, this number, what to do with it, how to manage it, and then those who are going around scamming Nigerians in the name of providing them with the name, what would you say to them? Just
Please,
look at me.
Do not be scammed by the illegal perpetrators. They're just out to do one thing: take away your money, to extort you and abuse the whole process. Do not fall victim to these scams. You have to be very, very aware. If there's something you're unclear about, go to your local government area, or you come to the NIMC's office for you to be able to confirm. Like I said, that we're going to make things a lot easier by ensuring that we go down to the ward, and we also then come to your communities to make it easier for you to be able to register, to enroll, to have a name. So this is the plan for NIMC, and we're working very hard to make sure that we're able to deliver a seamless service for you Nigerians.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We do appreciate your participation in today's program. Your insights are important to us, and we encourage you to connect with us on our social media handles using the ones showing on your screen. Furthermore, you can access this conversation and past discussions through our podcast on our website, channelstv.com/podcast, or check us out on youtube.com/channelsweb. You'll see our playlist and just go through our conversations. I'm Neo Taigwe. Till we bring you another edition, it's bye-bye.